What's up, guys? It's Joel, Puncher's Paintball. Today we are talking about electronic paintball marker firing modes. Guys, this is a very popular topic with us talking about the different fire modes that are offered on different electronic paintball markers. If you guys are just getting into the sport, maybe you've purchased your first electronic paintball marker and you don't know what firing modes mean, we are here to explain them to you. So with that said, make sure that you like and subscribe. We'll see you guys after the intro. Alright everybody, so we have a few different markers here. As you guys can see, we have a Planet Eclipse GOR5 and a Dye MXR, and then we've got the more entry-level Empire Axe 2.0, and we are here to talk about different firing modes with these markers. So first and foremost, let's talk about the Empire Axe 2.0. Price point is going to be right around $400. It is going to be your entry-level electronic paintball marker. If you're just getting into the sport, this is going to be one of your options, along with the Dye CZR Plus, the Empire Mini GS, and I think I'm missing one here, but needless to say, it is a great marker for the price point, and it does offer a few different firing modes. So a fire mode basically means that there are different types of rates of fire, and when you pull the trigger, it means different things. So first and foremost, let's talk about semi-automatic. Semi-automatic is going to be your most basic form of firing, which is simply pull the trigger once, release, and it's just going to be one shot, and as fast as you can pull your double trigger is going to be how fast that the marker shoots. Any pneumatic paintball markers, such as the Tippmann based markers or the Planet Eclipse EMEC or ETHA 3M, that are pneumatic in the way that they operate, are all going to be semi-automatic. With the electronic paintball markers, they have an electronic board that can change the different firing modes. So with the Empire Axe 2.0, we do have a few different firing modes, and I'm pulling out my phone because this is what's got the manual on it to discuss the different options and how to program it. So first and foremost, because it's OLED, you have to understand the different blinkings of the board. There's a power button right here. You're going to turn the marker on, and well, first and foremost, you're going to pull the trigger to enter into programming mode. You're going to turn the marker on, and it's going to flash a bunch of different colors. Solid red actually does mean firing mode, so that's your first thing that you can do. If you hit the power button, it's going to give you the setting. Actually, I lied, it's pulling the trigger. So flash 1, which reflects semi-automatic. So, you know, you can shoot it uncapped. As fast as you can pull the trigger, it's going to fire. Your second mode is going to be a burst option, and a burst is going to be most likely like a 3-round burst. There are a few different markers that offer this option, so I'll show you what that means here. Once again, I'm going to hold the trigger. It's going to flash once. It's going to give me the option to program. I'm going to do it twice, which is what the manual says to do to put me into burst. I'm going to turn the marker off. I'm going to turn the marker back on. I'm going to turn the eyes off. And as you guys can see there, hopefully you can hear that, every time that I pull the trigger, it shoots 3 balls. So that is definitely a different option. I don't even think that these higher end paintball markers offer that option.
I've not seen it, yeah.
Yeah, that is more of a entry level thing, and we'll talk about ramping here in a second. Third option is ramping. So ramping, we're gonna once again go into our programming here. We're gonna pull the trigger. Oops. Okay, pull the trigger, turn the marker on. Maybe. Pull the trigger, turn the marker on. There we go. I think I released the trigger too soon. Okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger again. It's gonna flash twice, current setting.
Are you pulling or holding the trigger?
Holding the trigger,
okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Doug. Hold the trigger. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3 is now going to set it into ramp mode.
Do we know if it's NXL ramp or PSP, or is
That's
it
a good question. So there are different types of ramping. The only type of ramping that is legal in tournaments now is NXL ramping, guys. PSP ramping is slightly different. And basically,
if you have an older marker, it'll be Millennium ramping. It's just now the NXL standard.
Correct. So what NXL ramping is you pull the trigger, it goes into ramp. After 5 shots, it goes to 10 balls a second.
And you know what? Actually, I'll put it up here. I did do a video a while back on what is ramping specifically. Mm-hmm. So if you want that and more in depth, you got it. But yes. Anyway, sorry, Joel, continue.
No, you're good. You're good. And then with PSP ramping, if you pull the trigger and then pull the trigger once again and it's less than a second, it will go back into ramping mode. PSP is illegal in almost all tournament formats now, whereas NXL ramping is now the standard. So the easy way to tell that, Doug, with this marker is going to be to get in ramp, let go, and then pull the trigger again. So as you guys can see, it reset.
So can you show them by pulling the trigger single finger style how fast you have to pull it to get it to ramp?
So it's five pulls per second, bare minimum.
So pull it a little slower and show them how it won't do it. Hear how it starts to ramp when he pulls it faster?
Yep. So all it's doing is it's ramping the rate of fire.
It's not full auto and it's capped, but
Correct.
it ramps.
Correct. And you can program it 2 different rates of fire, meaning how fast your gun will shoot, how many balls per second, BPS, it will shoot.
But the standard currently is 10.5.
And that's what
for
this is going
tournaments.
to default to.
Yep.
Now, with this marker, you can set, yes, you can set rate of fire. So keep that in mind. Okay, now, last setting is something that basically everybody understands, which is full auto. 2, 3, 4. Just going to say that, save that. I'm going to turn the marker off, turn the marker back on. And now, it's in full auto.
You don't have to ramp it all. You just press it and it does it.
You just hold the trigger and it's good to go.
Nice.
So that is, you know, most people understand what full auto is, right? Like if you've ever seen an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie or
You're on a Arnold
whatever the case
Schwarzenegger
may
kick
be.
today.
Yeah. You know, full auto is once again something that's offered with the Empire line of markers. With these higher end models, most of them don't feature a full auto option, so we are going to tap in some of those. These actually have OLED boards, so you actually be able to see what we're talking about here as we're setting through the different modes. But those are the 4 most basic options when it comes to modes, firing modes. The semi-auto, the 3-round burst, ramping, and full auto. Next up, we've got the Planet Eclipse GR5. We are going to get in the programming mode, and as you guys can see here, there's different presets. And semi-10 means it's semi-auto, but it's capped at 10 balls a second. If I go down, semi-15 means semi-auto, capped at 15 balls a second. NXL 2016, once again, 10 balls a second. If you come off the trigger and try and re-engage, it automatically resets the ramp the second that you do it, as compared to PSP, which is going to kick in a ramp. So to give you guys an option here, or to give you guys an example here, let me grab a tank real quick so I can display this with air. Okay, so we're back. We've got some air now, and this is PSP ramping. So as you guys can see, I'm going to get it into ramping, and within 1 second, I'm going to pull the trigger again. It's going to 3-round burst, which makes it very easy to get back in ramp. So here we go. Now that's a little bit different.
How much time it goes in between before it'll
Reset the ramp.
Yeah.
1 second.
Okay.
With NXL ramping, it resets the second you come off the trigger.
And
That
something
is tournament legal. PSP is not.
something I want to point out too that you just did, you were able to ramp it immediately by pulling it with 2 fingers, because once you're above a certain pulls per second, it'll immediately ramp, as opposed to 1, 2, 3 ramp if you're pulling it at 5.
Correct. All right, so that's NXL ramp and PSP ramp. And PSP fast just means PSP uncapped, so that changes the actual rate of fire.
Okay.
So let's do that just for the heck of it here. It's set at 10 balls a second with the eyes off, excuse me. But with eyes on, it would be uncapped ramp.
Gotcha.
And then retro, I actually don't know what retro means. User and training and semi-uncapped. So all those guys are your basic settings. The only thing that I'd like to mention is with Lux model guns and Shocker model guns, there is a option where you can pull the trigger and let the trigger go. And that is, I believe it's called
Response.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
And that is going to be every time that you pull the trigger in, it shoots. And every time you let go, the trigger shoots. That's a very uncommon mode of firing mode.
Tippmann used to offer that. They had the Tippmann A5 response trigger. I remember those things. And I don't, yeah.
Well, the response trigger was a pneumatic option.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
you pull the trigger and it would push it back. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different as far as this is an electronic option that you pull the trigger and let it go. Whereas the response was basically just held the trigger and it would push it back and you just hold tension. It was like fully automatic. It was awesome. So, is there any fire modes that I missed here, Doug? Let's talk about
nothing super important other than the fact that you can, mess with rate of fire on these as well.
Correct.
But
that's obviously going to affect things. We're going to just take
not sure how programming works on die guns, though.
Die MXR, and we are going into programming here as well, just to see.
How do you get there?
Just joystick here, hold it up, and then once you're in profile 1, you're going to press it in. There's your rate of fire, and if you go over, firing mode, NXL, most common mode for ramping, full auto, so this does have a full auto option, which is nice, semi-auto, and then outlaw, which I believe, if I remember correctly, outlaw is first shot is uncapped full auto.
It's the old cheater board stuff.
It is,
yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of cool that Die still includes that. And then back to NXL. So there you guys have it. You've got semi-automatic. You've got 3-round burst. You've got NXL ramp, PSP ramp, full auto, and then those weird modes that we talked about, like the response mode with GOG products, Shocker, and Lux. So with that said, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you guys are new to the sport, please like and subscribe. We're bringing you all kinds of great beginner content.
Drop a comment if you got questions or something.
Absolutely, yes. We are all for answering questions here at Punishers PB. And links in the description for all these markers. So make sure to check out our website if you're new to the sport. And hit us up if you guys have any questions or comments. See you guys soon.